Do you still need to be spending money on your own branded search terms on Google? This is the question I get all the time, and it's not like it's a question where inexperienced people ask me, because people who have been building these businesses for decades are still asking, like, here, what do you think? So, and people that are on teams, CMOs, social media managers, all that kind of stuff. So I'm here to tell you if you should be spending money on your own branded search. And look, in all fairness, it's something that I talk about too, because you got to be careful with how much you spend on it. There really is no point in spending a certain amount, a high amount of your budget on this, but there's definitely a time and a place where it does need to happen. Part of me is recording this video so I can share it with people in the future, but if a randomer out there gets value from it, that's great too. So my name's Leighton. I have an agency based in Dublin called Leading Social. We help businesses or Shopify stores in Europe and the US grow with acquisition, retention, content creation and strategy, and also financial forecasting. So a lot of founders ask, should I really be paying for my own brand name on Google? Feels pointless at first, like you're paying for traffic that you're going to get anyway, but branded search is one of the highest ROI levers in e-commerce when used properly. I'll pause on that for a second, because I actually did an audit like a day or two ago, and the business essentially disregarded Google holistically because they didn't trust the metrics that it was given, because the founder's argument was, okay, well, I spend this money on Google, but I just see no impact in my monthly recurring revenue or my monthly sales. And then I looked at it and I'm like, all right, okay, what's happening here is you're not spending a huge amount on your branded search, but your branded search is attributed to 70% of the conversion value. So you probably would have got these sales anyway. So it's really important that you take that into consideration when you're forecasting out your budget. There's no reason to turn off Google because that's what it was attributing, but you need to understand why you're turning it off or where you can scale up. Like, that's going to happen, if people are clicking on the branded term, that's fine, but just be aware of how much is happening. So what branded search actually is, so that's obviously when somebody types in brand X into the search bar, and maybe they might put in brand X cleanser, brand X supplement, brand X reviews, brand X discount, and you show up at the top through your ads, right? So these are the hottest buyers you're ever going to get. They already know you, they're already interested, and they basically already decided to purchase. Now, where this gets interesting, you putting it at the top is actually allowing them, they've already decided they want to buy it, but if you have your product on multiple sites, you see this with cosmetics and supplements, sometimes apparel. If you have it with retail stores, if you have it with pharmacies, if you have it with third parties that are selling your product, they're all trying to get that sale. So you putting your branded term isn't necessarily well, first off, from that regard, you're kind of protecting it to make sure that it comes directly into your own store. Now, some of the stores that we work with have agreements with their third-party vendors on how much people can spend on certain terms, etc. But that's something to keep in mind. So keep that in mind, right? So branded search is obviously the highest intent traffic in your whole funnel. It's usually the lowest CPCs, it's always the best conversion rates, and it protects revenue that you've already created. You have to remember, traffic is created by meta ads, TikTok, influencers, word of mouth, email content, PR. There's no harm in having Google capture that through an ad, just to make sure that they click on your business, because you also have to remember your competitors are probably, if you're a decent size, are probably competing for your search terms, and your product probably can cross over for other businesses, so you are protecting it. I know if someone directly types in your brand name, you would assume that they're going to go to the organic top search to purchase, but that's not necessarily always the case, and we see that time and time again in the data when we look back, especially over an extended period of time. So the biggest myth, if I turn branded off, I'm going to get that traffic for free anyway. Sometimes yes, often no. So here's what actually happens, right? So number one, just mention the competitors bid on your brand name, marketplaces bid on your brand name, review sites, they rank above you, and you lose clicks that you've already paid to create through your other method. So you end up paying for demand on the meta, then handing the sale to someone else on Google. So an example of that would be, let's say I'm a sleep supplement, and then I basically drive up all this demand on meta, and then someone types in brand X sleep supplement, but I have it in the fucking pharmacy down the road, and then are also running ads, they'll capture that. And once you get to a certain size, this is much more regular than you probably usually expect. So what happens when brands don't run branded search? So lower total revenue, so higher blended CAC. Competitors steal more easy customers, and the MER usually gets worse. So it almost never improves performance long term. But again, like I mentioned, you have to separate it, and you have to be like, obviously, if your Google report says you've made 100 grand in conversion value, and you don't notice that in like new customers, or you don't notice that in a meaningful jump on your Shopify store, look at like how much of the conversion value is attributed to your branded search, and separate that. We separate that in our reports, so that's a really important thing to consider. So how much budget does it usually need? Not a huge amount. Definitely not a huge amount. I have in my notes 5%, give or take 5%, maybe. Probably give or take 2 or 3%. And don't judge it on the ROAS alone. It'll always look really amazing. Judge it on the total revenue, the blended CAC, and the MER of the business. So most brands see overall performance improve with branded search live over a quarter, over 90-day period. So think about it like this: paid social creates demand, branded search captures it safely, and turn it off if you leak money. And the common mistakes here are brands pause branded because it just it looks wrong from a Google perspective, but it's easy revenue, and it's protecting your brand. So yeah, do a little search there. You'll probably see your competitors already bidding for your branded terms, or you might see other people selling your product. So there's no harm in doing it. I just want to make sure that you are measuring it correctly through the campaign that the branded term is in. Don't just look at your total Google dashboard. And yeah, my name's Leighton. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I never say subscribe in these videos, so gonna have to start doing that. And yeah, hopefully see you in the next one. Gurmila Mahagat.